Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. This is Optibotimus coming to you with another video review. And today we're going to be taking a look at another Iron Man figure. That being the Hot Toys MMS 277 of the Mark 25 Striker armor from Iron Man 3. Now this is actually one of the ones that we saw in the film, so it's nice to kind of get it. And this is a very unique looking one. Much like the Red Snapper, this is kind of one of those, at least for me, armors that kind of stand out, you know, as being a weirdly looking and very specific suit. For the package though, you can see very similar design that we have before with this kind of grid thing here. You got the nice image of Stryker right there. You got the Iron Man logo there. On this side, it's a continuation of that image here in the front. You can see more or less what I was talking about with the very unique look. He's got basically pile drivers for arms, so I mean, really cool. On the other side, it kind of continues over here as well. On the back of the package, you got the various warnings, contact information, the address stuff, all that kind of junk, and then it is a bit of a shoebox, so you just slide this up just like so. And like with all the House Party Protocol figures, we got that little insert with the House Party Protocol, sir? Yeah. And then you got the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. Then this just slides out just like so. And then on the inside, obviously you have the clamshell that protects the figure as well as all of his accessories. Really nothing here is all that different than what we're basically used to. And I think for as long as they're making these House Party Protocol figures, this is basically what we're going to have. So for the packaging, that's about it for it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Mark 25 Striker opened up and out of its packaging. And first, I do want to apologize. You guys don't necessarily know it, but it's actually taken me a lot longer to review this than I initially intended. Part of the reason was because when I opened mine, there was a piece that was broken off and just completely missing in the package. As much as a disappointment as that was, all I did was send a message over to Sideshow and they replaced it without any question. All I had to do was send back the other one and they sent me a brand new one. But because of that, it's created a little bit of a delay between what you initially saw with the packaging, which was the original figure, and this one, which is the replacement. I don't know why I bothered telling you all that, but I just wanted to give kudos to their customer service because they were really quick and very helpful in getting the replacement. Now, for accessories, you really don't get much. Now, basically, what you have here is what you get. You do get a whole bunch of different batteries. You get the little tool to kind of wedge things out. And then, as always, you do get the instruction manual. Because this is a fairly newish style armor, again, I do recommend going through this just to kind of touch on things so that you know what you can actually do with this figure so that you don't damage it or anything of that nature. You also do get this really nice display stand, and I mean, I say it's nice because from what I've gathered, you can see like along the sides here, coming in to kind of take a better look at that, you can see that there is some scratch marks on here. I don't really recall that being on a lot of the other displays that look like this. So while this is pretty standard in terms of what other kind of display stands that we've gotten, it does have some extra, you know, stressing on there, which I think looks pretty cool. And they even have it on the little grate right there as well. So really nice. And then it is a flexible dynamic stand so that you can position that around. You do have the little C-clamp right here that goes very nicely around his waist. And then on the inside here, you got the nice little foam padding that protects the actual molding and paint on there. Even on this section right here, which kind of comes down and just supports his back section right here, that also has some foam padding. So really nice on there. I do like seeing that they actually enhanced this a little bit. I still wish that they, you know, I mean, it doesn't have the battery compartment, but I do wish that they still had that in there, or at least made it so that you could light this up, because I do like this. It just would look better if you could light it up. Now for the figure himself, this is the heavy construction suit, and as you can see, he's got these pneumatic pile drivers here, which really do make this a very specific suit. Much like, you know, Igor or Red Snapper were very specific to their purpose, Striker here is also like that. Now, I did say that this is the first version. We are getting a repaint of this that will be a Sideshow exclusive, which is the Mark 26 Gamma suit, which is the exact same as this, but it's painted green, and it protects against gamma radiation. I don't get it. We didn't see that in the Iron Man 3 film. This we did actually see being used, but the gamma we didn't. And I honestly don't know if that's one that I'm going to pick up, because it's a heavy construction suit that is resistant to gamma radiation, so they paint it green, which, you know, Gamma, Hulk, all that, yeah, you get it. I just honestly don't know how I feel about it, but this is actually really very cool. Now, the piece that I was talking about that was broken off, you can see right here, you got these little panels that are attached to his shoulder pieces right here. This one was actually busted off on my original one. It came out of the package like that. It was not in the package anywhere, so I don't know what happened to it, but that was missing. And I noticed it because, like, oh, wait a minute, why is it on there? And then you come around here to the back, and you can see the back actually has them as well. So I'm like, okay, yeah, that's definitely missing. But like I said, Sideshow was really good about getting a replacement out to me. So again, I can't give them enough credit. But this suit really, I mean, in terms of paint detail, I mean, like this just looks incredible. I say this, I really feel more than I should, but the amount of stress and different kind of paint variation that you get, especially here in the arm and these pile drivers, just really does give a very realistic look to it. Now, this is all plastic. This is not a die-cast figure, but the amount of paint detail that they put in here, I mean, even here up on the shoulder area, you got it on the bicep, you come down here to the legs, and you can see some variation in the paint with every part of them. I mean, you can even kind of see that it does have a little bit of a different hue. Like some areas, when you get in the right light, like right here, kind of through here, the bicep area, down here on the legs, there's a bluish hue to it, which is very, very subtle. You don't see it in all angles, but when you kind of get that light on there, you can definitely see it has much more of a little bluish tint in there. Like, for example, you don't see it so much here on the side panels, but you definitely see it through the pectoral area. Then when you come down here, you don't see it in this section, but you see it in the abdomen area, and same throughout this area. I mean, it's really impressive the amount of paint that they get in here. And then you come around here to the back, and you have it kind of going through there as well, also with his little butt and back of his thighs. But then, like, this section, you can not see it. I mean, it's just amazing how, but honestly, when you get it in hand and you look at it, you don't notice it. It all blends in very, very nicely. And for some reason, when that light hits it just the right way, it kind of goes blingtastic, and I love it. Now these pile drivers here can't detach. You just pull kind of from the top section just like so, and then they can detach just like so. And I'm going to leave them off just for a second just to kind of highlight all the articulation and features on this thing. First, you do have the light up feature. You got the head section right here. You just lift this top section up, and then you got the little switch right here, and then you put it on just like so. Now I am going to turn my lights off because this is actually really cool and you get a nice bleeding effect, but setting that right there just like so, you can see that you got his really nice light up eyes, and then along the side here it also comes out through the vents. So again, really cool, just extra little bit of light that comes through. It's not a heck of a lot, but it does give a very unique look to it. I really do dig that. Then for the back section, you come around here, and I'm gonna again leave the lights off. This section just attaches right off of his back. You got the switch right here, flip that, and you got this really cool new arc reactor sort of thing. One thing that's neat about this is that it kind of has a very, I guess, magnifying glass kind of look. I don't know how well that's going to come across. You can kind of see it, but in hand you can definitely get a very magnifying glass kind of look to it. The light is beneath the actual lens, but you can see that it has a unique look. And I love the fact that it just, like I said, has that magnified kind of look to it. I mean, that's really very neat. Putting this back, I'm going to turn that light off, and I'm going to turn off his headlight just because I don't want to kill the batteries on it. I don't leave them on in my collection, so it doesn't really matter, honestly, in terms of the batteries. But then also, you do have the repulsors here. You do want to be careful with the shoulders, kind of pull them out. I'll touch on this here in a little bit when you want to rotate these around. But you got these repulsors here. I'm going to turn on my light over on this side so that you can kind of see it. You can see that he's got his hands and fingers in here. Again, I'll touch on that here in a little bit. But to access the light, you got to push your fingers here, and then it's kind of a tricky thing. You want to push down and up, and then you can pull that section out. And then you got the switch right there, which lights that up very nicely. Now again, when you have the pile driver on, you just put that back on like so. Again, I'll touch on all this in a second on how to attach this properly, but you can see that the pile driver still stays on there, so it kind of gives you know, a bit of a boost, I guess, when you're slamming that down in the ground. I suppose that's the idea of it, but both sides do have that. You can see that it's on this side as well. So really very nice bright light on there. I think it's nice that they actually still had that in there. I do wish that they made these a little bit easier to turn the lights on, because you got to take these panels off, and that does get a little bit tedious and tiresome after a while. So you do have those for his light up features. His head is on a nice ball joint, so you get a nice range of motion looking up and down and all that stuff. The neck section here does sort of pivot. You can see that the shoulder pieces kind of get in the way of everything, but you can slightly flex that. Now with these shoulders, you do want to be careful, because I can imagine why that piece broke off. I mean, if they were assembling it, because this little section right here kind of rubs on there. So when you're going to rotate the shoulders, you do want to pull them out. It does have that extra hinge on there that allows you to do that, and then you can see that you can flex that up, down, back and forth just slightly. This section here is on a bit of a spring, so it kind of can be positioned a little bit, but again, you do want to be careful with it. Rotates 360 degrees. When you have it rotated though, you get a much better range of motion. When the shoulder is collapsed in, again, these little pieces right up here kind of hit everything, so do be careful when you're doing it. He rotates at the upper part of the bicep. You can rotate that out and you can get more of a rotation. You come down here to the elbow, you get a 90-degree rotation right there. It doesn't have a double hinge or anything, which is kind of unfortunate, but look at the detail there with the piston and everything in there. I mean, just so impressive and heavy duty on how that actually looks. So wickedly awesome. Now the hands, you can see that it feels like they're on ball joints there at the wrist, and then the fingers are still all individually articulated. I don't think, oh no, they actually do. If you look at it, I'm not going to be able to show it because this whole section is kind of built in and everything. You can't really see it, but there is actually just the standard hand underneath there, and I can see actually the repulsor on it. So it's kind of weird how they have that on there, but I mean, you're not going to be able to notice it very well, but the fingers are all still articulated. I mean, I don't know if you can see me flexing that finger right there, but it definitely does still have all the articulation that the articulated hands that we normally have. So it's weird that they included it, because you can't really do much with it, but they're there. Coming up here to the waist section, you can see that he does have a little bit of rotation at the upper diaphragm area, not so much down here at the waist, but you can extend this up and then you get more of a rotation. You can see that the abdomen area does rotate, and then you can then flex him forward and back right there. So you get all that extra articulation by putting that extended out, and this just popped off. So put that back on his head. There we go. The hips right here, these little sections right here, they do flex forward. You do want to be careful when you're doing it, because they're jagged. So you kind of have to get this lifted up over this section, and again, you don't want to damage anything when you're doing it, but you can get a little bit more of a range of motion here with this thigh by lifting that up. They also do extend down one notch on both sides, so again, keeping this kind of angled up just like so. When you extend the hips down, you get a further range of motion with it, which is really very nice. It does rotate at the upper part of the thigh. It can kind of move in and out, not a heck of a lot, but you do get some added range of motion with it. When you have it collapsed up, you don't get quite as much, and it's definitely not one of the more posable leg armors that we've gotten before, but it's still pretty decent. You can get some solid poses, I would say. You know, a hero pose is obviously probably the easiest one to accomplish, but you can get some other ones as well. You come down here to the knee, and you can see, again, great amount of detail in the knee as it flexes. You got two joints right there, and then as you bend it, everything kind of fills in and then collapses. It's just really cool how that actually looks, and you can hear a nice ratchet joint going on in there as well. You come down here to the feet, and you can see that they're a little bit different. You got some nice piston work right there. These little pieces right here on both sides do flex forward so that you can actually take this and get a very wide pose with this. I mean, you can definitely get a heavy duty ankle bend on that. That's really quite impressive. And then you got a little bit of a toe flex right there. Putting this all the way down, he does have these I guess air flaps, but I think they're more in line with saying that they're like thrusters. They come up just like so. And I guess you could kind of say that they're air flaps, but you can see on the inside there that they're more thruster shaped, which makes sense because, again, you know, if you're going to have him be a pile driver sort of thing, you want something that's able to thrust down, and putting those on there would definitely give more of a thrust downward. So you do have that, and those just go right back in there. And then again, when you come to the pile drivers, you got a little sort of a catch right here that slots onto there, so you want to push that in right there like so, and then when you have that in, just bring that in, and that clips into place like that. So again, you bring that in, kind of put that in that lip, fold that all the way up, locks that into place, and then you have the pile drivers. And what's really cool about these is that they're actually spring loaded. You got this section right here, these little pieces here also flex, and they do tell you that when you bend this elbow, make sure that you slide this forward as you do it, because if you leave it like that, and I'm just going to do it just to show you, leaving it up can make that move forward, but it could potentially scratch the paint. I'm not going to do it over and over again, so you want to make sure you slide that down, then rotate that up so that you don't scratch that paint right on the elbow section. But like I said, you got a spring-loaded piston here that when you push this whole section down, this springs down. So here we go. Bam, just like so. And you can see that it extends it pretty decently, about half the distance is expanded. And then you can see, like, right on the tip of it, just real great detail with some, like, ridges on there. Really very impressive. So again, boom, both sides. And then when you want to lock it back up, you just slide it in and it locks into place very nicely. But again, real great detail on the actual moving section there. So really, like I said, a very simple suit. It's a very specific suit for Tony, but I think that it looks great. And again, I've said this before, that a lot of times this is the first time that we get to see how some of these suits actually look, because they were only on screen for seconds. But there's no question that the film producers go into full design mode when they're making these. You kind of have to when you're going to have, like, you know, CGI representations kind of flying around. So it's cool to actually get a full look and an appreciation for what's actually on the screen. And I'm always a fan of, you know, weird looking armors. I mean, things that don't really fit the norm are some of my favorite suits. Now, ultimately, again, this is a suit that I really do think is just going to appeal to hardcore Iron Man collectors. For those hardcore fans of Iron Man like me, this is definitely a piece that I would consider picking up if I were you. It has a very unique and overall pretty cool look to them. If you have a wide collection of different Iron Man suits, this is definitely one that will stand out. Now, like I talked about, we are getting a Sideshow exclusive version that's going to be repainted green, and I'm on the fence about picking that one up, mostly because it just seems almost pointless, I guess. This one was definitely in the movie, and I think that gives this a little bit more appeal. I guess when it comes to Gamma, it's basically going to be a impulse thing for me, so we'll see how that goes. But for Stryker here, I really like this guy. I do wish we could get a little bit more range of motion in the hip area to kind of get him, I guess it sounds funny, but doing a more of a ground pound sort of pose. And it's just funny because, you know, he pounds the ground with this pile driver, but whatever. But beyond that, I really can't find anything that I don't like on this guy. The paint looks fantastic. The variations, you know, with the bluish, I mean, you can kind of see it here where I have them. You know, some of those blue hues coming through very nicely. This guy is cool, and I can't recommend him enough to you. So if this is a piece that you're interested in picking up, he is available at Sideshow Collectibles. So all you have to do, as usual, is click on the link down in the video description. You'll go to Sideshow where you can check out availability on this guy, as well as the rest of Sideshow and Hot Toy figures. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. So once again, I want to thank you for tuning in. This has been Optibotimus, and until next time, I'll talk to you later.